Almighty Brandon with the SLA Industries 2nd Edition podcast. But today, we're going to be doing a review of the core book, just a light review. What can I say? I've been playing SLA Industries a while now. Anyway, since the first edition kind of appeared, it was came out in 1993. It's put out by Nightfall Games. It came out, gosh, I don't know, almost a year ago now. The core book runs about 40 pounds, or for us people over here in the US, it's about $54 plus shipping. You can also get the PDF from Drivethru RPG for about $16, $17. And you're going to get about 232 pages PDF. But so what is SLA Industries? In the book, it describes it as splatterpunk. To me, it's kind of, it's a little retro. It's set in, a horrible future, but it's a lot of fun. We'll get there. Yeah. So what do you get? Tons of beautiful art. I'm not gonna flip through the whole book here because you need to buy it. It's good. But yeah, that's our man Halloween Jack on the cover. We've got some of the background pictures are from the core book. Some of the art, some of it I modified a little bit for my tabletop simulator here. So yeah. What you get when you buy it, you get a bunch of really good, interesting history, backing up for about 900 years of history. I forget what the page count on it was, but it gives you a good backdrop to, if your players have questions, or if you're really kind of interested in reading, or even more so, eventually you'll be reading between the lines as you learn more about the setting. Let's see. Okay, so it runs on the S5S system, which is pretty new to me. I'd say, and I'm a Pathfinder player. I just played tons of it back in the day. This system is so much simpler. Your players are going to be able to pick it up in probably 5-10 minutes. Character creation will probably take 30 minutes to 45 minutes, like once you get it down, or quicker. I knock out pre-gens like crazy. But yeah, so here's your whole dice pool. You're gonna have a pass-fail dice. It's a success dice, and you always get one free one. But these other 4 dice are gonna be based on your character's skills. Like you're gonna range like rifle skill 1 to 4. So if you got any training in rifle, you'd have 1, so that'd be your dice pool, and then you roll it, and there's difficulty numbers, and you get bonuses and negatives on the dice depending on your situation. Pretty simple system. The more successes you get on the skill dice, the better your success is. But like I said, we're not gonna get too into the mechanics here. Just very light. I hope you like my tabletop, by the way. I spent a lot of time. I'll put a link to the workshop, Steam workshop link in the description there. But let's see. Well, what are you able to play? If I can figure out how to jump like a million pages here. There's all sorts of dudes. Without showing. All right. Hold on. Yeah, so there's humans, frothers, ebonites, malice, xeno, Shakhtar, Wraithen, advanced carrion, neophrons. Yeah, anyways, I don't want to show the book too much. All right. But yeah, so that basically boils down to like humans, drug-addled humans where their genetics have been changed so much that they're not really even human anymore. The Frother clans are, I guess, okay. Well, let's just say they're Frother clans. They're kilt-wearing, sword-swinging, it's not Vikings because that's the wrong word. I forget what it is right now. Sorry, guys. But yeah, you've got a whole slew of aliens like the Neophrons. That's the bird people. Um, they're really cool. They've got something kind of unique that you don't really see in Slay, which is information. And information's kind of well, it's impossible to get in Slay. The GM will have way more information. It's a setting about secrets, but they have a crazy access to those secrets, which is bizarre, but I like it. It works. And then there's the Shakhtar, which are the honor-bound warriors. They're kind of reptilian. They have tails. There's a new book coming out, a race guide for them, and the Wraith Raiders coming out sometime next year. Then you've got all the Slay soldier, biogenetic soldier monsters. You've got called Stormers. There's a whole bunch of them, at least in the previous editions of the game. But right now, I think it's down to the Xenos, which are kind of a stealth, armored stealth characters or race, and the Malice Stormers, which are the bread and butter. They're the big, brawny, super strong guys. Um, let's see. And then you've got the Wraith Raiders, which their look has changed a little bit. But I guess kind of the best description is if you were to take a like a raptor dinosaur and put some fur on it, and yeah, I mean they're really cool. They're hunters by nature. They age up very quickly. They're very fun to play if you like playing shooty characters or hunter characters. Crazy amounts of tracking. Um, you've got Ebons. There's two different types of Ebons, which are just to put it in my words, it's space elves. Um, they're the one race that actually has access to the ebb, which is psychic power. I call it psychic power or magic, as you would describe it to the players. It just really depends on how much understanding of the setting you'll end up having. You'll read more into it. You'll understand. And then you've got the advanced Carrions, which the Carrions are the native inhabitants of the planet who have mutated. And, yeah, well, that's all lost lore, but yeah, there you go. But you can play the advanced ones that actually have their minds back. Um, what roles do the players really have in the game? Well, okay, so Slay Industries, it's a company, and you work for that company. Slay owns planets. It owns huge areas. There's industrial worlds. There's resource worlds, paradise worlds, all things like that. But the role of the operatives is to basically troubleshoot literally the problems of the company, mostly on the home planet of Mort. But yeah, they're basically the equivalent of up-jumped FBI agents, and they work with the street cops, the shivers. Um, and they have a wide latitude of abilities and responsibilities, but you basically get paid to pick up these missions, and if you complete them, you get all sorts of bonus. You can get bonus money and security clearance level increases, which really matter because of kind of the information lockdown. It's really kind of you always have this subtle spy game in the background. At least I do. That's the way I run it. Um, well, the main setting of the game actually happens on the planet Mort in Mort City. There's lots of other countries, other factions on the planet's surface, but generally the whole thing is going to happen. Most games are going to happen in Mort City, and this is kind of just a map of Mort here. It has levels that go deep down into the earth. There are, I'm trying to think, the top 6 layers of downtown, and then there's all the corporate holdings up at the top and the better operative housing and suburbia there. It's all very locked down, but basically all the civilian populace is jammed into the any space they can fit as high as they can live, but because it gets really dark and horrible the further you go down, and you'll learn about that as you play and as you read through the book. That's kind of one of the problems of the company is, well, the lower levels of the city are essentially abandoned, and I'm sure they'd like to use them. Um, so okay, which this kind of ties into like okay, Planet Mort, the planet where it's always raining. The sky is always cloudy. The rest of the planet is covered in pollution and radiation. So again, most of your explorations will be into the workings of the city itself. And just to kind of put this into perspective for you, the city is I think they said it was 10. The area of one of the underground districts is roughly about 10,000 kilometers square, so like the size of Connecticut. And they do get smaller generally as they go up. Um, and the upper layers of mortar much smaller, but um, the deep the deepest layers of mort are haven't been touched in centuries. So no one really knows, and we'll be finding out that later in future source books, we hope. But yeah, the lower levels of mortar are off a really fun place to go. Not really. They're kind of horrible. So yeah, okay, we talked about missions. Missions are given off in these things called BPNs. Uh, you give your operatives missions, and they'll accept these missions or turn them down depending on what kind of operatives you have. We'll just go through them really quick. There's like blue street maintenance. Like these are the low end worst missions you can pick up, but they're also starter missions. They're mostly street maintenance, sewer maintenance. If there's monsters in the sewers attacking civilians, low-level threats, usually. Settling riots, that kind of stuff. There's white missions, which are more geared towards like if your players built investigator characters. Yellow is like go retrieve something, like something that was lost, or they want something like a piece of hardware, but from an enemy, or like a lost data disk, a data slug, or maybe even some karma drugs, because there's one of the big companies is called Karma, and they do a lot of bioorganic genetic work. And then there's greens or expeditionary missions. They often involve leaving the city or going to other planets or into space or onto the surface of Mord itself because it's very very hostile there, or into the cannibal sectors. Um, Red missions are issued as emergencies. They're mandatory, but they often pay really really well. Often very very dangerous. Let's see. We've got gray missions. Gray missions are often used to solve internal company problems, where like somebody's being seditious or somebody's suspected of sedition, and it's kind of cloak and dagger missions. It really depends on what kind of operatives you have as to what kind of missions you would accept, as your squad should accept. Now they might accidentally accept something they don't, they're not geared for, but usually there's recommended training packages on these things, and operatives should always be careful picking their missions. There's Jades. I have one right here. Jades are missions involving mostly Ebonites, the space elves with with control of the ebb. They use flux to make changes, and basically, I would explain it as magic right now. You should read more into the book. Um, But anyways, there's orange missions, which are new to second edition. They involve they involve cults, the cults of Mort. Then we've got black missions. They are suicide missions or missions that ops aren't expected to come back from. Sometimes used as punishment missions. Silver missions are media, where ops are going to look good for the company, and then platinums, super rare, issued by head office. Um, those are always interesting. But anyways, the point of the game is that the The storyteller can provide a really cool horror experience for their group of players. The players are going to be trying to increase their security clearance, make big money, get sponsorships so they can buy better gear, so they can do harder missions, survive longer. There's a lot of drug use in the game, combat drugs. You have to kind of balance the addiction versus the benefits you get from them. There's a lot of gang violence in the game, and uh, the kind of enemies you'll be running into are like there's other corporate threats, there's conflict aliens, there's collateral, which is like the ramifications of all the things that's horrible things that the SLA Industries does. And then there's the cult threats, which are the kind of mystic threats that have kind of arisen up. Um, I would say, is the game good? It's leaps and bounds way better than the previous version because it's trimmed down. Combat is fast and fun, easy to learn. Um, the art in the core book is amazing. It's all full color. Almost every page has a picture on it, and it helps you to know what everything looks like, including the big boss himself over here, Mr. Slayer. Yeah, yeah, handsome devil. Or what the streets of Mort look like once you're walking around in the sectors. Um, so yeah, if you like horror games with good crunchy combat, but not nowhere near as complicated as Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder 3.5 D&D. Um, Very trimmed down character sheets as to what they used to have. There's a fair amount of hilarity in as well because just sometimes the company does things that just are absurd. But yeah, is it good? I we've been playing it for 30 sessions almost now, and my players love it. It's a lot of fun. I would suggest it's definitely a good buy. And if you didn't want to shell out that much money, there's also a quick start you can buy from RPG Drivethru, and you should check it out. It's got a VPN you can run. It's a blast.